This weekend, tourists will be allowed back into certain areas of Maui, not far from the site of the deadliest U.S. wildfires in more than a century. As William Brangham reports, the reopening plan has sparked an uproar among some members of a community that's still grieving, but also weighing its long-term revival and survival.
For the past 2 months, Alana Koa has tried to put on a brave face for her 3-year-old daughter.
When we drive through Lahaina, she sees all the homes and she's confused. She's like, where are we, you know? Like
she doesn't even recognize it.
She doesn't recognize it at all. A couple days after the fire was, she's like, oh, I want my blanket. She has this blanket. I had to try to explain, like, honey, like what fire does, it burns things. Yeah, the blanket's gone. Our house is gone.
Koa's house was one of more than 2,000 buildings destroyed by the Lahaina fires back in August. The blaze consumed old yearbooks, Polaroids, even her father's ashes. He died less than 2 years ago. All Koa has seen of the scorched property is on video. She can't bear to go in person. So, like thousands of others, she's now living in a hotel, trying to wade through a web of disaster assistance and unsure of what comes next.
Sometimes you can't really take a moment to cry or, sit and think, because if you just sit too long, cry too long, things are gone.
You hear stories like this across West Maui right now. People who are still dealing with the tragedy of losing their entire community to this inferno, while also trying to figure out what is their long-term housing situation going to be. How are they going to make ends meet in a state that already had the highest cost of living of anywhere in the nation?
Last week, hundreds of people, including many native Hawaiians, vented their frustrations at a Maui County Council meeting. They expressed fears of going back to the old status quo, where they say tourism dominates the economy, often at their expense.
If you're still talking tourism, if you're still talking building more, you need to either pivot and align with the local community or go back where you came from.
Earlier this week, activists delivered a petition with more than 14,000 signatures to Democratic Governor Josh Green, urging him to delay his plan to reopen parts of West Maui to tourists this Sunday.
This is supposed to be a time of grieving, healing, trying to rebuild our lives, and now we have to put on a face and give them the Maui no Ko'oi, like aloha spirit, like we have no aloha to give you.
Before the fires, spending by visitors made up almost 40% of Maui's GDP. After the fires, when tourists stayed away, the county started losing $13 million a day. Now, economists predict the unemployment rate, which was just 2.6% in July, will skyrocket to 11% in the next 3 months. Richard Bisson is the mayor of Maui County.
I think for us to be informed on how to do this build back so that we can keep the people here, whether it's the cost of housing or getting jobs, because our goal is to restore our community the way they want it to be restored.
Following the governor's tourism announcement, Bisson introduced a phased approach. Tourists can stay in areas farther north of Lahaina, but eventually could move closer to the places where most displaced residents are currently staying.
That message is to our community that we acknowledge their loss, we acknowledge their grieving and their mourning. We also acknowledge the business community wanting to restore jobs, which is very important. We can do both, though.
Anthony Garcia helps run more than a dozen food trucks and restaurants across the island, including multiple in and around Lahaina's burn zone. He says business is down 70%, and they've had to cut workers' hours.
A lot of these guys, they've been with us for years, and they have to go, hey, I know you depend on us, but this is all I can give. It hurts a lot. If tourism doesn't come back, I don't know what we're gonna do. I really don't want to think of that. I get the fact that we need time to heal, but if we take too much time, we might cut our own leg off.
But in West Maui, housing is an even bigger concern. Officials have tried to assure displaced residents that they won't be kicked out of hotels to make room for incoming tourists. but many are still uneasy. Before the fires, Adriana Cardenas was a housekeeper in one of those hotels. Now she's living in one.
Me siento como en dos mundos porque
I feel like I'm living in two different worlds. For those of us who work at the hotel, we're used to this place and we're used to tourists. But now that I'm living here, I think to myself, my God, how is this possible?
Cardenas, who immigrated from Mexico almost 30 years ago, received some money from the Red Cross, but now has no other income.
necesitamos el trabajo, pero primero
Yes, we need the work, but first we need a home because there are so many people living in hotels. We have nowhere to live and we have no idea where we're going to go.
Does this experience make you think ever that maybe I have to leave Hawaii?
no.
No,
Tengo 28 años
I've been here 28 years.
This is home.
Even before the flames consumed Lahaina, the median price of a single-family home on Maui hovered above $1 million. That's well over double the national figure. There's also lack of supply. Over the past 5 years, so few new homes were built that Maui County saw a net housing loss. And advocates say the problem was exacerbated by out-of-town property owners converting lots of once affordable housing into short-term vacation rentals, which further squeezed local residents. Tamara Paulton represents West Maui on the county council. Between damaging fires and floods back in 2018, the pandemic, which ground Hawaii's economy to a halt, and now these latest fires, Paulton hears a clear wake-up call.
Part of the solution is to adapt tourism in a way where it is the extra and not the staple. With people out of jobs from the hotel industry, there's so many vacancies in the fields that we need to have functioning society. Law enforcement, healthcare, teachers. Can we put people to work serving our community instead of serving the guests first?
Lisa Paulson leads the Maui Hotel and Lodging Association. While she agrees Maui's economy needs to diversify, she says tourism can also play a key role in recovery.
Let's continue to have our economic engine humming, keep people employed, but then that also puts money into the state and the county budgets that we can use alternatively for building what we want Lahaina to look like.
Paulson acknowledges that a wave of celebratory tourists could be disruptive to locals who are still in mourning, but she believes visitors will be respectful, and she says initial bookings for after October 8th are low.
A lot of people do want to see us close down for 6, 9 months, even a year, to allow for the healing, but not really fully understanding how it will further devastate us with people not having employment. We need to make sure that conversation is at the top of mind, as long as the healing and the grieving process.
For locals like Alana Koa, the heaviness of that grief comes with a long-term goal: to rebuild and stay in Lahaina.
I want to stay here. Lahaina is my home. It was my home before it was my home. It was my home to my dad, to many generations before me. And, this is where I want to raise my daughter. We need to fight to stay here. We need everyone to get back to their homes.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm William Brangham on Maui, Hawaii.